How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am back with a review for From Russia with Love. I am continuing my James Bond movie countdown. I'm very excited to talk about this one. And if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And with that out of the way, let's get into this review. So From Russia with Love came out in 1963 and it's once again directed by Terrence Young and again stars Sean Connery as James Bond. Now From Russia with Love for me is a huge improvement over Dr. No. I think Dr. No is a good solid movie, but From Russia with Love I think it's just a great spy movie and a great Cold War movie. I just recently rewatched it. I'm like, this movie is great. I still think it's one of the best Bond films. I think it's the second best Sean Connery film of his James Bond run, and this movie they just like knew what they did in Dr. No, and they improved upon everything. I thought we get the introduction of Q in this movie just briefly, but we start getting Q, get to see the gadgets, which was neat. We go to different parts of the world again, more exotic areas, and some of the cinematography in this movie I thought was great. There's some scenes where I thought Terrence Young did a really good job directing, like he really improved how he directed this movie after Dr. No. The plot of this I think is great. Like I said, it's a good Cold War movie, and it's got a nice plot for me with sort of Spectre manipulating sort of the British and kind of the Russians a bit too, and like the British know there's a trap, but they don't at first know it's Spectre. So I really like that. They got a nice henchman in this movie too, who's got a great scene with James Bond on the train. There's a great fight scene, and sort of the British performance that actor gives in that scene I thought was really fun. The Bond woman in this I thought was good. Tatiana, I believe, was the character's name. I thought she was good and worked with this movie, but she's not one of my favorites of all the Bond women in this franchise, but I thought she was solid for this movie. And Sean Connery again was great as Bond, and I think all the performances overall were really good in this movie. One thing this movie definitely improved upon over Dr. No for me was the action. There's some great action scenes in this movie, one of them being the fight scene on the train that I mentioned earlier. There's a great fight between James Bond and the henchmen, sort of just in this cabin on a train. It's a great scene, and there's some fun scenes like a boat chase. There's a little chase where the James Bond and the Bond woman are on foot and they're being chased by a helicopter. That was all great as well. And there's a really fun scene is sort of towards the beginning of the movie when they're in this gypsy camp. There's a great scene where these, the enemies sort of come into their camp, and it's a big, almost like rumble in a way. That was a great scene. The scene sort of leading up to that I could have done without, where they have the two women fighting over getting to, I guess, marry this man. I could have done without that scene. I didn't think it really needed to be there, but the scene after the big fight scene, that was a great scene. And I mentioned there's a henchman in this movie who's played by Robert Shaw. I still think he's one of the franchise's best, because he's got that great scene on the train, the fight, and his sort of British performance on that train I thought was great, but also there's moments throughout the movie before he and James Bond actually meet up that I thought were great. Like when they are on the train but they haven't met yet. James Bond's off the train has stopped, and he's talking to the guy who's working with son, because that guy had been killed. So he's talking to him, giving him information to go tell M to do this, send someone for help. And as James Bond's walking, trying to find this guy, you see in the background, you see the henchman just sort of tracking him a bit, following him on the train. I just thought that was really cool. Like, this henchman, he's smart, he knows what to do, how to get this information. And also I just like that scene because of the sort of direction. It's focused on Bond, but then in the background you can see the henchman keeping an eye on him. I really like that scene. And like every James Bond movie, there's a special song just for this movie in the Dr. No. It was the classic James Bond theme song. In this one we get the song From Russia with Love, and this time it's a actual song with lyrics, although we don't hear it with the lyrics until the end of the movie. At the start of the movie, when they have their opening credits, it's just instrumental. But that song From Russia with Love I think is really good. I think it's one of the best songs in this franchise, because some of them are kind of hit and miss. This one I think is great and still holds up. So overall for me, this movie took everything they did in Dr. No and improved upon it, which is what all the best sequels do, and I really like that. So this movie for me is great. I have some minor nitpicks. Like I mentioned, there's that one scene in the gypsy camp just before that big fight that I could have done without. I have some other small nitpicks, like there's a scene where James Bond's gone to his hotel room and he's walking around looking for, microphones and stuff, and they're playing the classic Bond theme song. And I love that theme song. For me, it didn't fit with that scene. It just felt off. But that's a very minor complaint. So this movie is great. If you haven't seen the James Bond movies, definitely this is one you should definitely check out. If you don't plan on watching all of them, check out this one. I'm going to give this movie a 90%. I think it's great. I love this movie. And that will do it for my review from Russia with Love. Stay tuned for some of my upcoming videos. My next one that I'm planning is going to be a ranking of all the Pixar movies. And after that, I'll continue my James Bond movies with Goldfinger, as well I'll review some other movies. So stay tuned for those. And again, if you're new here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. So until my next review, take care everybody.